We're ready to roll.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful episode brought to you by the Total Space Network. This week on the Space Update, we're talking ABL Space Systems launching in the UK, Telesat's Broadband constellation, and the United Arab Emirates HOPES mission has successfully entered Mars orbit, along with Taiwan 1. I'm your host, Ryan, and joining me today is...
I'm Mikko, the host of Deep Dive Fridays.
And I am Rich LB, co-host of Becoming Multiplanetary here on Total Space.
Okay, so earlier today we put out a bit of an announcement up on Twitter. As you may or may not know, later this year ULA are launching their new Vulcan Centaur rocket and landing the Astrobotics Peregrine lander on the surface of the moon. On that lander are various scientific payloads, experiments, including the names of images submitted by people from around the world, which include TJ Cooney's I Need More Moon and many others. Now, it's okay to land on the moon, but how would you like to hitch a ride on the UK's first ever dedicated mission to the moon? Not only that, how would you like to venture on the Spider rover named Arismo from SpaceBit? Sounds good so far? Does to me. Well, I'm not done yet. The SpaceBit rover, if successful, will walk on the surface of the moon in its demo mission for future expeditions, and that will explore the moon's surface, plus potentially any caves or lava tubes on the surface of the moon.
SpaceBit
has generously offered to upload your images, memories, whatever it may be, onto their actual rover, and it's going to the moon this year, and they're taking us with us.
During the mission, rover will walk and
absolutely
explore
fantastic.
The moon, taking various
Thank guys.
News, really exciting news here at Total Space, and we're really excited to be giving this news to you guys, to be able to say this. We've been holding our tongues on it. We've been sat on the information for quite some time now, haven't we?
It will act as
it's an incredible opportunity for everyone at Total Space, and we'll expand it to everyone else in the space community as and when we can. Little bit of digital logistics to go on, but we're 99% there. We've just got to get a few little bits sorted, then we'll start sending the invites out to everyone. But it's absolutely incredible opportunity, and I'd just like to take the time, if SpaceBit are watching, thanks again guys for taking us to the moon with you, the little rover and everything. So back to reality, let's just crack on with the news. That's the announcement over. We'll bring some more updates as and when on Twitter. Let's just kick things off. SpaceX, now we've had to SN10 running through testing static fire maybe later in the week and everything. Looks like they're really pushing ahead and rushing with SN10 lately. Seem to just got the cryo test done, all the engines fitted and everything. They did have the flight TFRs down for the weekend, but that seemed a bit too soon. They've pushed that back to next week or the week after now, which seems like common sense because they haven't even done a static fire yet, and who knows if it'll be successful first time because those engines are still a little bit temperamental. But what are your guys' thoughts on the SN10 so far?
Well, it seems to be progressing really fast. I mean, it's not isn't even 2 weeks when SN9 crashed on the land, but yeah, there's quite clear path forward. They just need to modify the software to relight the 3 engines instead of 2 engines, so there's a backup. And I think SN10 will be successful.
Yeah, because I think they'll nail it eventually. It's just that header tank. I just think they might be rushing a bit too soon with SN10, whether they've had time to do any changes or whether they're just putting faith in the system and doing some more static fires. We've seen them do individual static fires a couple of hours apart, but we haven't seen them do rapid static fires within minutes of each other, which I think they should do, essentially, rather than waiting hours and hours and hours until the next static fire. They should do a static fire, wait 5, 10, 15 minutes, keep the engines cool, do another one, wait 5, 10 minutes, do another one, So then it just puts faith in those engines that they are all going to light up 10 or 15 minutes later from the main tanks and the header tanks.
Sorry, Brian. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Miko. Weren't they trialing a new thrust pack on the SN10? Sorry, not the SN10, the SN9, sorry.
No, I don't think there was new thrust pack. I could be wrong. The difference between SN8 and SN9 was the header tank pressurization system. SN8 was autogenous, which didn't work. They didn't have enough pressure. And for SN9, they had helium pressurizing the tanks.
So the reason I brought that up is because I noticed in the SN9 flight there was a lot of vibrations, more so than the SN8 flight. And I was wondering if this was due to some new change that had been put in the design, and maybe even contributing to why we're seeing SN10 being delayed a little bit now, because they haven't even done the static fire yet. And if there was an issue with a new type of thrust pack here, or if there was a structural issue which may have contributed to why the engine, or I think the latest that people think it might have been coming out of the engine skirt was a turbo pump, I think it is, like part of a turbo pump housing being blown out. But yeah, I think it might be because of this, and they might be looking at reviewing part of the design.
I don't think the updates are coming until around about SN15. SN10 is essentially a duplicate of SN9, as will, within reason, SN11. Then they're going to leapfrog to, I want to say 13 or 14 before they bring out 15, because I think 12 and 13 they're skipping, aren't they, because of the test tanks and everything else.
Yeah, I think they are actually skipping 12, 13 and 14. And about vibration that Rich said, could it be possible that they had even some engine problems on the way up that would have got some vibrations?
Actually, yeah, there is an effect that can be observed when your thrust isn't being expelled at the perfect angle. It can have like a kind of drag, or like a oscillation almost, and that could have been it. Yeah, that's a good point actually.
I noticed in this flight on SN9 there was a lot of black smoke when that part from the turbo pump potentially dropped out. You see like a large puff of black smoke come out. So whether that was a factor when it was going on the way up, you don't normally see too much smoke from the engines. You obviously see a bit, but to see a big chunk of black smoke jump out the engine, it just rang alarm bells for me on that one.
Yeah, that was on the initial ascent, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we didn't see that on SN8. I'm getting my numbers confused now.
Yeah, I agree.
But as well as SN10 and everything, we've seen SN 7.2 undergo some really solid cryo testing. That's one of the newest test tanks, just at the side of SN10. Latest test, the side walls ruptured. I believe they've fixed that, and they're probably going for another pop. Whether they do that this weekend, I imagine they'll be doing it fairly soon. But Elon seems happy with the test so far. So whether that's a new test tank for Starship itself, or the super heavy booster, or a combination of the two, I don't know. Potentially using that new upgraded 3mm steel.
Yeah, they are just after weight reduction. So that's 25% reduction in weight if the steel is strong enough.
So the reason they're patching it up and having another pop, Brian, is because it's not the material itself that gave out. It was one of the welds. And Elon's pretty much like, nah, I'm not having that. The material's fine. Just reinforce that weld and we'll go again. And that's pretty much what they're doing right now. They're just reinforcing all the welds that they saw weakened, because, as they said, the material itself didn't give. So they want to see how far they can push it with proper welds.
Yeah. I mean, they have faith in the actual material. It's just the welds is the weakest point, essentially, in Starship and in the test tank. So I think welding's the absolute key. But also, just jumping to their current rocket, Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, SpaceX have actually been selected for the launch part to the Gateway. Just got announced that last night, that one. So, but launching 2 sections in one launch, which is quite staggering, really, when you think about it.
That one did kind of just come out of nowhere, didn't it? It just popped up and like, oh, by the way, we picked Falcon Heavy for our cargo delivery to the moon.
Yeah, I think they were talking about it late last year, maybe around November. So this was not a total surprise, and Falcon Heavy was pretty much the only vehicle that could that had enough payload capacity. But what are your thoughts? What would be the configuration of Falcon Heavy for that mission?
I would have thought that for that launch, if it's 2 sections of the Gateway, I'd imagine we potentially might see that extended fairing that we've seen in many renders from, well, just online really, and from SpaceX themselves, from that vertical integration tower that they're going to be building. I can't imagine they'd use the existing fairing that they've got, because that's, although it is extremely big, I can't imagine it'd fit the two units in for the Gateway and that payload fairing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's probable. But how about, do you think we will see a landing of the boosters? I don't think we'll be seeing the return to the launch pad, but maybe a double drone ship landing or totally expanded mission.
Right, I get where you're coming from now. Okay, so if it's going to go to the moon, obviously the side boosters need to give it as much altitude as it can manage and as much delta V as it can manage before they're expended. I think we'll probably see a drone ship catch, but they'll be further out than usual. And I also think, yeah, I don't think we'll see the main stage come back.
Yeah, and they're that launch is actually targeted no earlier than 2024, so we've got a little bit of time to wait before we see all that. But I think by then we'll definitely see the vertical integration tower from SpaceX, not just for this mission, but for some of the Space Force security missions for vertical integration, a bit like ULA currently has.
Yeah, I think so. And the mission launch price was actually quite high. I think it was around 330 million, but there was a mention that it will include some mission-related costs. So it's anybody's guess how much the launch actually costs.
Yeah. I mean, the two sections of the Gateway, what's called PPE and Halo. The PPE section is a 60 kilowatt class solar electric propulsion spacecraft that will provide power, high-speed communications, altitude control, and the capability to move the Gateway in different lunar orbits, providing access to the moon's surface, more access to the moon's surface than ever before, really. And the Halo section of the Gateway is the pressurized living quarters where the astronauts who visit the Gateway, often on the way to the moon, will work. It will provide command control and serve as a docking hub for the outpost. And Halo will support science investigations, distribute power, and provide, again, communications and everything. So 2 critical parts to start off with, the power and the living quarters, as you would. You'd start off with those two parts, but that's what those 2 sections are that they'll be launching in 2024. So still a little bit away. Hopefully we'll see SLS launch before then, obviously, get to the moon and everything. Some other bits to go there prior to that moon landing. But yeah, really exciting.
So, is their intention to permanently crew Gateway?
The idea is to permanently or partially keep it crewed. 'Cause obviously, once they're on the moon and everything, they're going to need to bring scientific payloads back, but rather than bring it all the way back to Earth or the International Space Station, it'd be far easier to just analyze that data on the actual gateway, a bit like the International Space Station does. Because why would you pick up all that scientific material, put it on a ship, then spend all that fuel and energy trying to bring it all the way back to Earth or all the way back to the International Space Station, wasting fuel, money, and everything? I'd imagine they'll probably just keep a lot of the material and scientific evidence and everything else on the gateway, similar to what we've got on the International Space Station.
Just
That's my theory, anyway.
run it as a lab, do your science there, and just send the data over.
Yeah, why not? Why bring it all the way? Make all that effort to bring it all the way back when you can just do it. Set up an orbital lab, a bit like International Space Station. Do the science around the moon, right there on the field, if you like, and just get the science done. And the other theory is as well, if once we get to Mars, just bring all the material back to the gateway rather than making the further trip back to Earth as well. So almost like an outpost.
Yeah, and my comments to Rich's question, I think it's supposed to be constantly manned, but I think SLS schedule will be affecting it quite a bit. If they can't launch two SLSs per year, it's not going to be constantly manned. I don't think anyone will be staying there for a year.
Well,
so do you reckon they might end up palming off the crew resupply and outsourcing the contract like they do with the ISS?
Funny you should mention that. SpaceX won that with the Dragon XL. Right there. So by 2024, I don't know if you just lined that up for me or what, but by 2024, we'll see the Dragon XL module, which is essentially going to be the cargo module and potentially a larger crew module. Maybe they could just outfit it for a mixture of both to send 2 or 3 crew members along with quite a few tons of material. But I believe SpaceX won that bid last year, the year before. I can't remember who else was in the running for that, but SpaceX did win the resupply to the gateway, so they're definitely one of the key roles in that, keep the gateway stocked up and going. But I imagine it's going to be partially automated and just autonomous, running on its own for probably the initial for the initial first year or so until the other sections get installed.
Yeah, and it's very much possible that there will be another commercial crew-like contract. It could be with the Dragon capsule, but I don't think it has the necessary protection for moon travel, and Falcon 9 wouldn't be able to fly it there, so then the Falcon Heavy would need to be man-rated, or just use Starship if it's ready.
Yeah,
What was that about? Human rating the Falcon Heavy? I think we got a question about that not long ago on the BM map, I think.
I think so, yeah. But I imagine it's 50% the way there. It's just an extra 2 boosters on the side within reason. It'll just be a case of getting it recertified, the Falcon Heavy, because the boosters are already individually certified themselves. So I suppose the Falcon Heavy will just be a fairly easy certification to get approval to get human rated, basically.
Actually, that's a point. If they human rate it, what crew vehicle are they going to use on the Falcon Heavy?
Well, I think they would use the Dragon.
Just the Dragon or the Dragon XL?
The XL, because it wouldn't make sense using a mixture of the two. It just depends on the key functions and what the capability is of the smaller Dragon. I imagine the smaller Dragon won't have integrated propulsion to head towards the moon, whereas the Dragon XL might have, on the trunk of the Dragon XL, it might have a bit of a propulsion system to keep it going towards the moon.
Dragon XL has one problem. It's not going to fly humans because it's going to burn up in the atmosphere or just discarded in space.
I'll land it on the moon. Habitable.
Actually, you've got a good point there, Ryan. If it can't be re-landed, why not just have it as a permanent fixture on a space station?
Could be big enough. They'll be quite big. I mean, the Dragon Crew Dragon is reasonably big in itself, isn't it? You see, you can fit 4 to 5 people in there with relatively ease.
I mean, if your only other option is going to be burning up in the atmosphere, why not just use it instead?
Yeah, definitely. But jumping on from that, we could talk all night about SpaceX. I'm pretty sure we could. We're jumping back to some more UK news. Lockheed Martin have selected ABL Space Systems for a UK launch. ABL Space Systems will conduct a launch for Lockheed Martin from a new spaceport in the Shetland Islands, fulfilling an agreement with the British government announced in 2018. Lockheed said earlier in the week that ABL will perform a launch of its RS-1 rocket from the Shetland Space Centre, eventually when it's built, and developed on the island of Unst, if I'm pronouncing that right, Rich?
Push to talk.
You've gone quiet there. I can't hear you.
It's because I had push to talk on. I was saying I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced myself, but I believe Unst is correct. I'm not, but don't quote me on that.
I wasn't too far off then. But yeah, they're up there in the Shetlands anyway. In 2022, they're planning on doing that. The rocket, on a mission called the UK Pathfinder launch, will place into orbit a tug developed by Moog, M-O-O-G. Very strange name. I'm sure it sounds to something, but there you go. In the UK company then.
Sorry, there's a company I know called Moog, but they make synthesizers, digital synthesizers.
Apparently they got the launch in something. Apparently then, but they will got a space tug that will deploy up to 6 CubeSats. The launch will fulfil an award made by the British government, as I just previously said, and everything for domestic launch capability. The £31 million contract to Lockheed Martin covered a launch originally planned for the spaceport at Sutherland in northern Scotland, as well as Moog's orbital manoeuvring vehicle. So whether Moog's related to that other company, Rich, I don't know. It might be 2 separate companies entirely, and you get your wires crossed there. But a bit of a strange one, because ABL Space are actually a US company, as are Lockheed Martin, both coming over to the UK to launch a smaller vehicle, if you want to compare it to Rocket Lab's Electron. But their RS-1 rocket from ABL, it's powered by LOX and RP-1, which is a bit of a strange one again. 2 American companies come to the UK to launch a rocket. A lot of the companies, for the guys out there who don't know, the likes of Sky Aurora, Orbex, they're all using green eco fuels, and they're all quite committed to that. So for an American company to come over to the UK and just say, like, screw it, we're going to use LOX and RP-1, it's a bit of an oddball, that one.
Yeah, but the thing about this company is that they have kind of a movable launch platform. They really only need a patch of cement where they can launch. So they are kind of in the same area as Astra or even Virgin Orbit, who can just take their rockets anywhere.
Yeah. The Orbex and Sky Aurora are essentially the same. Orbex slightly more fixed to the other port up in I forget the name now. The Sutherland port. Yeah. Orbex are pretty much committed to that one, which is a fixed platform, but Sky Aurora got more of a, similar to ABL, more of a movable platform that can be within reason, just launched out of a container or a flatbed truck within reason, a bit like your rocket launchers kind of thing. So ABL Systems is like a integrated rocket that can be taken apart and put on the back of a truck, moved to wherever needs be for the desired orbit in the country. So it could launch up in the Shetlands. You might see it come over to mainland Scotland and launch from there.
Just take a pair of binoculars out to the coast at Lossiemouth and look north.
Yeah, but it's exciting, but a bit of a confusing one because you would have thought the likes of Lockheed Martin who were involved with ULA, they're involved with the ULA, so they have the far superior capability of launching anything on a ride share or anything like that. But then I know Lockheed Martin are involved with essentially anything military or anything that's got a rocket engine or jet engine strapped to it, or anything else for that matter. Which is a bit of a strange one. They're interested in small rocket companies. Great for them to support it and everything like that, but it's just a bit of an odd one for me, I think.
Did you know that Rocket Lab has some support from either Lockheed Martin or Northrop Grumman? That's one of their biggest investors.
Yeah. I don't know if they still are or not, because I know Rocket Lab develop a lot of their own engines now. So whether that was in the initial stages and it just pulled away from that, or whether they're still involved, but we never
I think
get to know the ins and out of it, do we?
Yeah, I think they really have like a share in the company or something like that.
Yeah. And just jumping on to our next topic here, Telesat constellation. Don't know if you heard of this one. It's likened to the likes of what Amazon are planning to do, and Starlink, obviously. It's already partly functional. Everything. A lot of people are signing up to it. I think you've signed up to Starlink now, have you, Miko?
Yeah, I paid the deposit, so for me it said it would be targeting coverage in 2022. So let's see. I may get a refund or I may get the Starlink and do some reviews how it works.
I got the same date as Miko, probably because we're quite high up in latitude. So it's going to be 2022 for me as well, although I didn't put the deposit down yet because I saw the price of the hardware and I was like,
Yeah, Miko done the opposite thing, paid the money, there was like, I
didn't see the hardware cost.
Hang on a minute, £500? You said it was free.
Yeah.
But Telesat Constellation, it's a Canadian satellite operator. Telesat announced in February the 9th, it selected Thales Alenia Space to manufacture 298 satellites for a broadband networks to the likes of Starlink, as we were just discussing there, in a network in low Earth orbit. Telesat also announced that its constellation named Lightspeed, hopefully it's Lightspeed, will start offering services as soon as 2023, despite them not launching any of them yet. So it seems pretty sharpish, that one. The $3 billion deal is for the production of the 298 satellites, network management software, and for the integration of the satellites with the gateways to be deployed around the world. The entire investment projected for Lightspeed is $5 billion, and I believe it's going to be launched on New Glenn. That's not even flying yet. So we've got a lot of a broadband network in 2023 that's not in space, launched by a rocket and a company that hasn't gone orbital yet. So what do you think of that one?
That's very ambitious to be announcing something like that when there's I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to have a certain level of competition amongst all of these players anyway. Otherwise, you just end up having one player with a monopoly of it. But the other players in the competition really need to start catching up now, because now the work is actually coming, and it's coming now. And so they need to be launching now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I imagine it's going to get pushed back quite easily, because 2023 seems very, very ambitious to launch all 300 of those satellites. obviously give it to SpaceX, and they'll have it in a handful of launches, 5 or 6 launches maybe, and they could just do it in one go. If it hypothetically, if it was the same size, but I can't imagine it is.
Well, Stinger NSW mentioned in an episode with us not long ago that there are something like over 1,000 starships now. With the recent launch that we covered with Stinger NSW, it was on that launch that the total then went back over 1,000 again.
Very interesting. Yep. But it's quite exciting because we've seen all these different constellations. Obviously, like the likes of Jeff Bezos is planning eventually getting New Glenn and launching all his constellation of broadband networks set up. Then we've got Starlink, obviously well and truly on its way and doing beta testing and further testing with everyone out in the public now. But obviously Telesat coming on board with that ambitious project. Again, it's very ambitious, but do we really need this many different providers? Can't there just be Starlink? Then it's just segregated down to the different companies and stuff like that.
Well, you could do something along the lines of, I don't know if you've heard of VMNOs, virtual mobile network operators, like GIFGAF.
I've heard of them, but I haven't looked into it. It's not one of the things I'd look into.
Well, to give you an analogy, because this does fit into the schematic rather well, you have an already existing carrier network, such as Telefonica, O2, whatever you want to call them. And then GIFGAF run on them. They pay them for the use of their network and resell it as a separate service. So they don't own the hardware, but they do run on it. So theoretically, this opens Starlink to franchise opportunities if Elon was willing to do that and if the current hardware allowed for it.
Yeah. I think SpaceX will have enough customers to use almost all of the bandwidth by themselves.
Yeah, I think that'd be more down the line once it's within reason, almost 90 to 100% complete. Because by then the speed and latency will be the latency will be down really super quick, and then the speed as actually download and upload will be phenomenal. Obviously, the more Starlinks, the faster the connection, faster the speed and everything. At the moment, it's very substandard speed, shall we say, because I get around about 150 to 200 download, then about 20 upload, which is reasonably good. I believe Starlink's a lot lower than that at the moment.
In the in the beta, they've said that you can expect speeds between 50 to 150 download. They never mention upload on their documentation.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. It's all right having a good download, but if you can't upload anything, especially for doing live streams and everything like this, you need good upload speeds.
Yeah, the numbers what I've seen, the highest go to almost 200, around 180 megabits, and the upload maybe up to 40, but mostly around 20.
Yeah. But really fantastic, that one. Good company to keep an eye on, as well as New Glenn will be launching those satellites and everything as well as their own constellation. So it'd be promising to see. Hopefully we'll see New Glenn launch this year. Whether we will or not, who knows? It's a complete mystery at the moment. I think we've only seen the engines and maybe air fairing from New Glenn.
Yeah, I think they have few Pathfinder engines for Vulcan rocket. And I would hope they are about ready to ship the real product.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. I mean, fingers crossed for Vulcan because it's going to be launching before New Glenn, so essentially testing out the engines and then onto New Glenn. Hopefully, we'll see that. But more importantly, a lot of Mars missions going on this month and in the close coming weeks and everything. The United Arab Emirates is celebrating its first mission at Mars, successfully orbit insertion of their Hope mission, and also just earlier on today, Taiwan won. So absolutely fantastic for a lot more companies and countries getting involved in Mars missions. It's always been predominantly in America and everything, with the Curiosity rover and InSight and everything else and all that. But absolutely fantastic that they actually pulled that feat off. Absolutely incredible, to be honest. I watched that launch back in July. Just watching it launch and just thinking, like, if they pull this off, it's going to be absolutely incredible, because I don't believe they've sent anything towards Mars previously, as far as I'm aware.
No, I think Arab Emirates are the second country to get into Mars orbit on the first try, and China is the third country. And the first country was India.
Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible. I mean, it was launched, the Hope mission was launched back in July the 19th, 2020. Arrived, obviously, early Tuesday evening this week. UAE has put a probe called Hope around the orbit of Mars and everything. Fifth spacefaring entity to do so and everything. The spacecraft, which left Earth 7 months ago, it had to essentially do a braking maneuver and everything before it actually got captured to the gravity of Mars and everything. So that was the most critical point in that. Essentially, the 27 minutes of hell for them. I know Curiosity and Perseverance have their own couple of minutes of hell when they're going through the atmosphere, but UAE's few minutes of hell was doing that braking maneuver to try and get successfully insert orbit into around Mars, and amazingly they pulled it off. And the satellite carries 3 instruments that will be observe the atoms and hydrogen and oxygen in the Mars atmosphere, remnants of Mars and everything. So a lot of good science to be done, and it'll just further advance the UAE's just technology and science and everything, really, because they've been predominantly reliant on the likes of oil and everything else previously. To expand their technological ability would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
And Hope is now running an initial eclipse around Mars that will come as close as 1,000 kilometers from our planet and go out as almost as 50,000 kilometers at the moment. They've got a few corrections to do to trim out that orbit, so it'll go into a 55-hour orbit, and then it'll be trimmed down to around 22,000 kilometers by 43 kilometers orbit. So it's just not as close swooping as the current orbit. So it's in quite a close orbit at the moment, but really exciting though, because we've got Perseverance coming up with Ingenuity and everything. So I'm really looking forward to that one myself. I mean, it's fantastic that we've got the Hope mission there. Got Taiwan 1 there now, orbiting around Mars. The big one for me is that Perseverance rover, because when I saw Curiosity all those years ago, Curiosity is still trudging on the face of Mars and everything. It's just incredible, that sky crane, the way it lands, and just, it was absolutely mind blowing. Just to, because obviously we've seen various ways how vehicles land on Mars, where they're doing the airbag maneuver, make it roll and everything like that, and we've seen countless attempts of that and failing, and using parachutes and dropping on there. But the way Perseverance and Curiosity land on the face of Mars is just absolutely mind blowing, to be honest. That's what sparked my passion for space, or reignited it, if you like, all those years ago. Curiosity, seeing it just land on that sky crane hovering there, and then the rover just coming down. It's just like, what the hell am I looking at here? Just on the face of Mars, all those thousands of miles away. I was like, how the hell can you just pull that off? It's incredible, absolutely incredible.
So, a couple of things. One, it's Tianwen 1. Two, I'd like to take a moment here to actually say, in the next episode of Becoming Multiplanetary that's going to be releasing, we're going to be beginning a mega series on rovers, starting with Perseverance and Ingenuity. So we're going to be covering that prior to the landing event. and I am sure Ryan on the space update that happens after the landing will be covering all of the footage from the Perseverance landing for you as well.
Sure, definitely. And just to be completely utter idiot here, I actually planned an interview with Dawn Aerospace on the 18th, not realizing it's the same night that Perseverance lands on Mars. So there you go. Excellent organization skills from me.
Well played, sir.
But it'll all work out in the end. We'll have lots of great content and everything. Obviously, Rich on the rovers, and then Dawn Aerospace and everything else, and we'll bring you guys lots of great content. But,
Yeah, and I was thinking of doing a deep dive for Friday about the Hope mission and the Tianwen mission.
So watch out for that one as well from Miko.
Yeah.
So we've got Miko with a deep dive into the Hope missions, and they've got Rich on the rovers. So lots of great content coming up in the coming weeks, guys.
Don't forget my trusty companion Kage.
Yeah, Kage. Can't forget your trusty sidekick.
Oh no, that guy is my he my brother, man. He's not my sidekick. He my brother.
Hope you enjoyed the show and everything. I've been Ryan from the Space Update.
I've been Mikko, the host of Deep Dive Fridays.
And I've been Rich LB, co-host of Becoming Multiplanetary.
And as always, a big thank you to all our Patreon supporters. Warhawk, the Younger Astronaut, Howard Walker, Sammy, What About It, To The Future, Gaio Pagalari, Framrick, Susie, and Mako. If you would like to support what we do here at Total Space Network, gain access to exclusive content and early access to episodes like these guys and a lot more, head over to patreon.com/Total Space. And where else can you find us, guys?
You can find us on Twitter at Total Space Net.
And you can also find us at the new Total Space Towers HQ. I say new, it's been out for a while now, but it's our website, and you can find it at totalspace.net.
And on there's a merch link if you want to purchase any Total Space merch. If you want a mug, you want a t-shirt, or anything, just check that out as well. That's up on the website. And like and subscribe here on YouTube. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. And we'll see you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.